Today, we're diving into one of the most ambitious engineering projects you've probably never heard of, Saudi Arabia's massive, man-made river.
So just imagine that for a second. It's the kind of paradox that's at the very heart of modern Saudi Arabia. A country with unbelievable wealth from oil, but at the same time, it's grappling with a critical shortage of the one thing everyone needs to survive: water.
And this number says it all: 0. That's how many natural, permanent rivers exist in the entire country. That makes it the largest nation on Earth without one. Not a single one.
Okay, so that raises a huge question, right? How on earth does a kingdom built on sand even begin to tackle such a massive water crisis? Let's get into it.
I mean, the geography is extreme to say the least. And on top of that, you've got a population that has just exploded from about 3 million people back in 1950 to over 26 million today. That puts an almost unbearable amount of pressure on their water reserves. For a long time, Saudi Arabia actually had a kind of secret weapon, a hidden water source. The only problem? It came with a ticking clock.
And here it is: fossil water. They were basically tapping into these ancient underground lakes, water that has been trapped down there for millions of years. It was their main solution for decades. But the catch is, once you use it, it's pretty much gone for good. It's not getting replenished.
And that quote just hits the nail on the head, doesn't it? For years, this non-rechargeable battery supplied about 70% of the kingdom's entire water supply. It was a finite resource, and they were using it up fast.
So what happened was, back in the 70s, they had this really well-intentioned plan to grow wheat in the desert to become self-sufficient. But that project turned out to be incredibly thirsty. It had this devastating, unintended consequence of just rapidly draining their only real natural water source. And this chart, wow, it really puts the whole crisis into perspective. A staggering 85% of that precious fossil water was going to agriculture. So the government basically had no choice. They had to pull the plug on the wheat program to save what little was left for absolute emergencies.
So with their underground wells running dry, they had to think bigger, way bigger. They turned from drilling down to this incredibly audacious new plan. If nature wouldn't give them a river, they would just build one themselves. And we are not talking about some small channel here. We're talking about a planned network of underground pipes stretching for 12,000 kilometers. It's a man-made river designed to move fresh water all across this vast country. The scale is just mind-boggling.
Just to give you a sense of that scale, this artificial river network is nearly twice as long as the Nile. But you know what's even crazier? Unlike the Nile, which obviously flows downhill, this thing is engineered to pump water uphill into the mountains. It literally defies gravity.
Okay, so where does all this water come from? Well, the first method is pretty much brute force on an industrial scale. You take massive amounts of seawater, heat it in these gigantic tanks, we're talking the size of football fields, then move it to a lower pressure chamber, where it instantly flashes into steam, leaving the salt behind.
All right, method number 2 is a little more elegant. It's called reverse osmosis, and it's actually inspired by biology. You use incredible pressure to force seawater through these super fine membranes. The pores are so tiny that water molecules can get through, but salt, minerals, even viruses, they just can't. So you take these two technologies together. The whole process is known as desalination, and today they provide a whopping 66% of all the water consumed in Saudi Arabia. That's 2/3 of their entire water supply, created from the sea. What a shift! But you know, there's always a catch. Creating billions of liters of fresh water every single day, well, it comes with a pretty serious price tag for the environment.
Just look at this number. The goal is to produce 9.4 times billion liters of fresh water from the sea every single day. But when you take the salt out of that much water, you're left with a whole lot of salt. To be precise, you get 329,000 tons of this super concentrated salty waste, which is known as brine, left over.
And if you're trying to wrap your head around that number, get this. The daily salt waste is equal to the weight of over 1,600 blue whales. That's how much byproduct they have to deal with every day. It's a huge problem.
So what do they do with it? Well, they pump it back into the ocean. But this stuff is super salty, it's dense, and it sinks. It completely messes up the local marine environment, creating these dead zones where coral reefs and other sea life and fragile ecosystems like the Red Sea just can't survive.
So you see the dilemma, right? In solving one massive problem, the lack of fresh water, they've accidentally created a whole new one. The big question now is, what do you do about it to secure a truly sustainable water future?
But of course, engineers are already on the case, and they're coming up with some pretty clever solutions. It's not just about damage control, it's about turning this waste into something useful. This idea of brine mining is especially cool, literally pulling valuable minerals right out of the waste. You could turn a problem into a profit center.
When you step back and look at the whole thing, the record-breaking pipelines, the massive desalination plans, the fact they're hosting the 2027 World Water Forum, it's clear this is more than just an infrastructure project. It's a statement. It's a declaration to the world that with enough ingenuity, technology can overcome even the most fundamental limitations of geography.
And that really brings us to the biggest question of all. Can technology truly conquer geography? As Saudi Arabia engineers a future that's almost totally independent of its climate, it leads all of us to wonder about the incredible power we have, but also about the hidden price of reshaping our planet.